Hi everyone, welcome back to Carnatic Music. Everybody is invited. We have covered a range of ideas in the earlier episodes. I have talked to you about Tala, I have talked to you about Raga. Carnatic music consists of three main aspects: Raga, Tala and compositions. Once we have understood these three, we are good to go. So we have covered the first two aspects. So now let us get into compositions. And before I get into compositions, I would like you to first enter a concert. Now, here we walk into an auditorium. What is it that we see? The musician, the main artist, is seated in the center. And to your right, as you face the stage, generally to your right you will see the violinist, and to your left you will see the mridangist. There are occasions where there are slight changes in this, and behind the musician there will be the tambura artist. The tambura artist will be playing the tambura. In addition to the tambura, tambura adds a lot of visual beauty to a performance. Plus, it is so nice to see such a heritage instrument actually being played by an artist. Today we also use the electronic versions. So some musicians also use the electronic version in addition to the manual conventional tambura for added shruti effect, which is fine. I mean, it is each person's taste and interest, and it's perfectly in order. So now you are entering an auditorium, and this is the visual that is going to meet your eye. When I started the talks, I started by asking you, when you are hearing a song, what is the first thing that strikes you? And the first thing that strikes you, or the first thing that you do, would be to involuntarily tap your feet to the rhythm of the song. That is where we got started. Let us look at another first now. Once we enter an auditorium, what is the first item that you see? Let's start with that. Now, there are two things that can happen. Many people have the convention of starting the concert with a kriti. A kriti on, say, Lord Ganesha in many cases, or a varnam. So these are two terms which we need to know now. And I will start with a varnam, because many musicians have the convention of starting the concert with a varnam. Varnam is a very interesting type of composition. And varnam is one of the early compositions which children learn when they enter a music class. Didn't I talk to you about Geetam in one of the earlier episodes? I think that was the previous episode or the one before that, when I was talking to you about the Raga Malahari, part of the Maya Mala Gaula family picture. Yes, that was a good joke. Right. So when I was talking to you about that, I spoke to you about Malahari, and I spoke to you about the iconic Geetam, Sri Gananada. Once children finish the Geetam stage, Geetams are very basic, simple compositions, beautiful, simple compositions. Once the child finishes the Geetam stage, the next stage is the Varnam. The Varnam is the first detailed, slightly longer song that a child learns. Now, the moment you think that it is part of the learning routine, maybe one of the earlier routines, then you think that it's part of the learning exercises and that is where its role lies. No. That is not so. Varnam has a very prominent place in the concert also, by way of being the opening piece. As I said, it's not very rigid. People can also start without a Varnam, but a lot of people also start with the Varnam. So let us understand what the Varnam is. The moment we think of Varnam, the first Varnam that comes to mind is Ninnu Kori in Mohanam, a composition of Ramanad Srinivasa Iyengar. It is a Varnam that has stood strong for so many years. It was one of the early Varnams taught when I was a kid, and even now it is still being taught to students. Ga ga re re sa sa re re ga ga re re sa re ga re sa re sa da sa re ga pa ga re sa re ninnu ko o re o na no ra. And what of the Navaraga Varnam, which is an equally popular Varnam? It is a composition of Patnam Subramanya Iyer. and that is a raga, that is a varnam in which as the name suggests, 9 ragas. So students get introduced to 9 ragas within just one varnam. Valaji vachi yona pai valachi. This is another very popular varnam. So many varnams are there. There is a varnam in Hamsadvani, there is a varnam in Kalyani, there is a varnam in Vasanta, and of course Saveri, which I was referring in one of the earlier episodes. There are so many varnams to choose from. The speciality of a varnam is the fact that it is divided into 2 parts. The first half and the second half. The first half, the first segment is called the Pallavi. Generally it is 2 lines. Anupallavi is 2 lines, and then there is a Swaram. That is called the Muktai Swaram. This is the first half. Before I explain further, I will sing a Varnam and show you. And I am going to sing my favorite. And my favorite is the Varnam in Shuddha Danyasi. And this is a composition of Harikeshanallur Muttaya Bhagavatar. So I will just sing it for you. Shri Raja Matangi Chamundeshwari Shri Raja Matangi Chamundeshwari Narayani Rakshin Chugauri. This is the first 2 lines, the Pallavi. Dira Gresa Kodau Chamarajendra Tanaya Dira Gresa Kodau Chamarajendra Tanaya Marari Puja Turantar Shri Krishna Rajendruni. These 2 lines form the Anupallavi. Now we come to the next segment, which is called the Muktaiswaram. Pa pa ni pa ma pa ni pa ma ga ma pa sa ga ma pa ni pa ma ga ma pa sa ma ga ma pa ni sa ga ma pa ni sa ni sa pa ni ma pa ga ma pa ni ga ma pa ni sa ga ma sa ni sa ga ma ga sa ni pa ma ga sa ni sa ga ma Shri Raja Matangi. So if you see, I go back to the Pallavi and then I wind it up, right? Now I will not revisit the Pallavi. Please remember, the song is not over. We still have something more coming. But the crux of a Varnam, or the speciality of a Varnam, is the fact that it is divided into 2 distinct halves. After that first half is over, we go back to the Pallavi and then we wind it up. We start the Charanam. Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye. This line is called the Charanam. All the Swarams that come after that, Charana Swarams, Chitta Swaram, everything is fine. Now, after every Swaram, you go back to this same point. Like for example, I will just explain it to you. Pa ga ma ga sa ni pa ni sa Sapani Gama Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye. Now the next swaram. Pani pa ma ma pa ma ga sa ni sa ga ma pa ni sa pani ma pa ga ma Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye. So what is it that we noticed? We don't go back to Sri Rajamatangi. So we keep going back to Ambike. Now 2 swarams are over. See, each was one line, short swarams. Now the next one. Gamani magasani gama pani sagani ni ga magasani sagama. This is my favorite. Absolutely beautiful. See the way the composer goes. Gamani magasani ni. See the slide. Gamani magasani gama pani sagani ni ga magasani sagama. Amazing piece of music. Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye. Now is the 4th swaram. Generally convention is there are 4 swarams, and usually towards the last the swaram size becomes a little bigger. So now we go to the concluding swaram of the swarnam. Ni pa ni ma pa ni ga ma pa ni pa sa ni pa ma pa ga. Ni pa ni ma pa ni ga ma pa ni pa sa ni pa ma pa ga ga ni pa ma ga sa ni pa ma ga sa ga ma pa ni sa pa ni ma pa ga ma pa ni sa ga sa ni pa ma Ambike Maye Harikesha Jaye. Ambike What an amazing piece of music that was, right? Horrificating actually. On that note, I'll stop for now. See you in the next episode. That was Carnatic music. Everybody is invited.